For Thanksgiving, the whole family went on a trip to South America. My little brother Ben, who fancies himself a geology fan, insisted on seeing the rainforest. At the entrance to the forbidden forest, I tried to persuade him not to go in. It was too dangerous. But my dad kicked me and scolded me for overreacting. The forest was filled with toxic mist, and king cobras slithered quietly. I was bitten and killed by a venomous snake, and none of them thought to save me. When I opened my eyes again, I was back before we left for South America. Seeing my excited brother, I thought, go ahead. The rainforest surely has a charm of its own. We've come all this way, it'd be a shame not to see it. At the foot of the mountain, near the park's entrance, my brother was urging us to sneak into the closed-off rainforest. Trust me, it'll be scenery like you've never seen in your life. I saw my parents wavering and clenched my fists. My nails dug into my palms, and the pain brought me back to reality. I had been reborn. During the 5-day Thanksgiving break, my little brother, who just started college, suggested a self-driving trip to South America. My parents happily agreed and unusually included me. I thought they wanted a family trip, but soon realized they were using me. I ended up paying for everything along the way. Laura, my mom called out as she saw me daydreaming, pulling my arm. Go buy the tickets, we're going hiking. I looked at my mom's face, remembering my past life's tragedy vividly. Maybe we shouldn't go. If the locals are afraid of the rainforest, it must be dangerous. Ben rolled his eyes at me. Dangerous? Please, I'm a geology enthusiast. You can't compare regular people to me. What a buzzkill. It's just a hike. Seeing Ben upset, my dad kicked my leg, making a big deal out of nothing. Your brother said it's fine. Do you think he'd lie? My mom silently nodded in agreement. After all, I tried my best to stop them for the sake of family. If they insisted on heading towards danger, I couldn't stop them. I said all I could, did my duty. Respecting their decision, I let myself fall to the ground, pretending I couldn't stand from the pain in my ankle. Are you made of paper? How hard could Dad have kicked you that you can't get up? Ben crossed his arms, glaring at me lying on the ground. None of my 3 family members lent me a hand. I pretended to struggle to stand, then fell back down heavily. I wish I could come with you guys, but I've twisted my ankle. Going up the mountain will just slow you down. I pulled out my phone, transferring $1,000 to Ben. Ben, go with Mom and Dad. The view there must be great. Have fun, I'll wait in the car. Ben smiled only after getting the money and cheerfully went to get the tickets. My parents returned to the car to pick up their hiking gear and followed him. Slowly, I got up and carefully headed towards the car. Watching their happy backs, I forced a cryptic smile. They couldn't wait to see the unseen beauty, and didn't even look back, or say a word of concern for me. But that's okay. I was used to it. My parents named me Laura, hoping for a boy. I've always served my brother since I was a kid. I did his laundry in school, and supported him financially when I started working. Mom complained about Dad's temper, and Ben being a handful. I pitied her, transferring money whenever she mentioned it, and took care of all the household chores. Unsurprisingly, all that money went to Ben. In my past life, I felt unable to let go. Now, I've come to terms with it. People with a wolfish and doggish heart don't deserve my sadness. Besides, they're about to walk into their doom. Goodbye, dear family. In my past life, it was here. After getting tickets, Ben led us behind other tourists. When nobody was watching, we sneaked into the forbidden rainforest. Not far in, I suggested that my parents and Ben stop moving forward. Even geologists couldn't make it out before. We should watch from here and not take risks. But Ben, once excited, refused to listen. That was just their bad luck. With this clear sky, nothing can go wrong. Plus, it's only a 4 or 5 hour journey. We could run if anything. My parents, always obedient to Ben, joined in scolding me. Since the 3 of them insisted on going further, I had no choice but to tag along. Deep in the forest, with no phone signal, even the compass was disrupted by the magnetic field. We were lost. The mist ahead made me think of the documentaries I'd seen that said it could be poisonous gas. Prolonged exposure could lead to poisoning and confusion. Once again, I tried to persuade them to turn back, saying it's too dangerous up ahead. Yet Ben stubbornly refused. We made it this far. Going back would make it pointless. Follow me. I've studied this place. It's fine. Covering my nose and mouth, I tried to inhale less of the mist, but it was useless. I started feeling dizzy. Then, in the distance, a hissing sound came from the grass. As it got closer, a sense of dread crept up inside me. We stopped, looking toward the noise. A thick black snake as wide as a man's arm emerged from the grass, revealing its triangular head. A king cobra. My mom screamed, pulling Ben behind her. The noise provoked the snake, making it move toward us faster, its mouth wide open. Ben, run. My mom held him tightly, urging him to flee. With the snake closing in, Ben pushed her forward and ran with my dad. Mom, I reached to help my mom up. Mom, get up, let's run. The snake poised for attack, lunged at us. My mom grabbed my arm, placing my body between her and the danger. I couldn't believe my own eyes, watching her turn away, avoiding my gaze, and run. The snake sank its teeth into my leg, coiling around me tighter. The venom quickly spread into my bloodstream. Falling to the ground, I watched where my mom had fled. There was nothing left, just an empty path. Soon, I struggled to breathe. At that moment, fear didn't overwhelm me. I just felt incredibly heartbroken. This is my family, the ones I always worked hard for without complaint. The 3 people I was closest to in this world. They abandoned me without hesitation in a moment of crisis. Slowly, I closed my eyes, mumbling Mom under my breath. Even after I died, my soul lingered, watching them as they ran. Once they met up, my mom didn't blame Ben at all. Instead, she kept checking if he was hurt. They didn't remember me until they had escaped that mountain, where I was left at the snake's mercy. Dad, Mom, my sister, what are we gonna do? My dad took a long drag on a cigarette. Accident. It was all an accident. Doesn't Laura have insurance? Accidental death. Ben, we're gonna be rich. After they got my insurance payout, they went home, had a big dinner, and celebrated. Dad, buy me a car. A Mercedes or BMW will do. My dad downed a drink. Sure, we'll buy it. They ate and drank happily, even saying it was good I died since they got a big payout. Keeping me was worth it after all. They even joked about sending me off sooner. I noticed a bluish tint on their lips. They inhaled so much toxic gas. Could they really live long? I didn't stick around to find out. In a blink, I was back to the time before we went into the mountains. Dear Mom, without me to pull you up this time, can you make it out safely? A bunch of text notifications pulled me from my thoughts. Ben sent a ton of pictures to annoy me. You missed it. Such beautiful views. I laughed while leaning back in my seat. They can enjoy the view on their way to hell. Gradually, Ben stopped messaging. I guess they entered the forest now, and soon the events from last time would replay. I couldn't wait. As time ticked by, they didn't come out. I opened the car window. It was getting dark, and other travelers had long descended. It was way past when they got out last time. I tried calling their phones. No one answered. Just as I set my phone down, I heard urgent footsteps approaching. It was my dad and Ben. They looked pale, trembling as they caught their breath. I inspected them carefully, pretending not to know what happened. Only you two are back. Where's Mom? They exchanged glances, but said nothing. What's wrong? Speak up. Where did Mom go? Ben dropped his head when I pressed him. In the end, my dad rubbed his face and whispered, Laura, your mom, she's gone. I widened my eyes. What do you mean gone? Ben hesitantly replied, Sis, Mom's dead. A cobra bit her. I pretended to be shocked, leaning against the car door. How could that be? She was fine when you left. Ben, didn't you say you were a geology lover? You said there was no danger. Ben rubbed his nose, avoiding my gaze. How was I supposed to know we'd be unlucky and meet a cobra? Mom couldn't make it out. What could I do? I bit my tongue hard, covering my face as I cried. So you left, leaving Mom alone there. My dad slapped my back. Stop crying. What's it gonna do? You should have gone with us. I scoffed inside. So, if I went along, I'd die in her place. Who dares enter where there are venomous snakes to bring her out? We could all die there. Ben opened the car door and got in. Dad, Sis, let's get out of here. We're never coming back. Under their constant urging, I was pushed into the driver's seat and started the car. On the way, I asked my dad what we should do about Mom's body. We can't just leave her there. How would we explain to family and friends? Maybe we should call the police. No way. We can't call the cops. Ben immediately opposed. Police will know we trespassed in a restricted area. My dad thought for a while. We'll say she got separated, went missing, and we couldn't find her. So we called them. It was accidental death. We can still collect the insurance payout. When Ben heard, his eyes lit up. Exactly. Let's do that. Sis, head to the station and say we can't find Mom. At the police station, they left me in the car, worried I'd spill the beans. The two of them put on a tearful act for the officers. Even my dad couldn't stand straight from crying. I watched, hidden by the door, finding it laughable. These two, one lost his wife, the other his mom, and they shed fake tears for insurance money. Last time, when I died, they didn't even bother to act. Mom, did you see that? This is the son you saved with your life. After taking notes, the police quickly contacted rescue professionals who went into the mountain at night, recovering Mom's body by morning. Deepest condolences, family. The deceased likely got lost, got bitten by a forest snake, and died from poison. Hearing that, my dad cried out kneeling, Wife, why did you have to follow us so loose and careless? Ben joined in, crying, "Mom, wake up, you can't leave me." Officers comforted them and issued Mom's death certificate. They arranged to send Mom's body to the nearby crematorium for immediate cremation. Handing me the death certificate, my dad, grinning, recalled their act at the station. "With this paper, we're set." He didn't know my phone was recording inside my purse. We rushed out of South America. After a simple ceremony for Mom back home, they couldn't wait to get the insurance cash. Holding a bank card, my dad cheered with a drink. "Your mom died as she should have." Ben followed with a drink. "Dad, buy me a car." "I don't mind, Mercedes or BMW." I stayed silent, knowing my dad would agree soon. However, he just slammed his glass down. "How can you ask for a car? If not for you, would your mom be dead?" Catching his slip, he glanced at me, continued only once he was sure I wasn't reacting. "You haven't even graduated college. What do you need a car for?" Later, Ben didn't argue, just bowed his head, eating. Strange, why didn't my dad agree this time? What did he plan to do with the money? With nothing urgent left, Ben headed back to school. Bored, he started going through his photos from the forest. What was once magnificent now looked eerie and scary. Wanting to delete them, he hesitated, deciding to sell two in the geology enthusiasts group instead. Sneaky forest pics, personally shot. Message me if interested. Someone quickly contacted him, and he sold the bundle for $2,000. After collecting payment through the chat, he deleted all originals, tossed his phone aside, and went to sleep. After coming back from South America, Ben always felt tired. All he wanted was to lie in bed and sleep, but even then, he couldn't rest well. He thought he was just worn out from being scared and didn't pay much mind to it. Meanwhile, my dad recently started leaving early and coming back late. Sometimes, he didn't come home at all. Just to be safe, I secretly hid small cameras in every room while he was away. Having learned from my past life, I'm extra cautious this time around. Both my dad and Ben are cold and selfish people. I'm worried they might get greedy, especially after experiencing the benefits of insurance money, and start eyeing me. I'm afraid they might take another desperate risk to harm me again. I treasure this chance to live again, and won't let my life be sacrificed. If they do anything, I want to discover it early and have evidence ready. I started to observe my dad quietly. This once slovenly middle-aged man now seemed to put more effort into his appearance. Every day he'd leave wearing a white shirt, even styling his hair a bit. Looks like he was already planning to find another woman after my mom passed away. There he was, standing at the door, humming a tune as he tied his tie. Suddenly, he had a fit of coughing, so I paused while mopping the floor to take a closer look. His lips were starting to turn blue, and his face looked darker. If I'm not wrong, this could be chronic poisoning from the toxic miasma he inhaled while escaping the jungle. Those toxins will eat away at his organs over time. His heart, lungs, and kidneys will gradually fail. In extreme cases, he might even hallucinate. I wonder if he'd see my mom being strangled by a snake in his hallucinations. He left the house, and just as I was thinking of tailing him to check if he had a date, a phone call stopped me. It was from an unknown number. I answered. "Hello, is this Ben's sister?" Ben fainted at school. Ben had a seizure during class and collapsed, so the teacher took him to the school nurse. By the time I got there, he was out of danger. I felt a weird sense of disappointment, but then I thought, if Ben got what he deserved this easily, that'd be too simple. Has the patient experienced anything unusual lately? Eating strange things or visiting strange places? It seems that the miasma's toxins showed up in Ben first. I looked at Ben lying there. His lips were turning purple too. "No," I replied to the doctor. "He's been home, nothing unusual." The doctor checked Ben again. At that moment, there were no abnormalities. The sudden seizure might have been due to mental stress, and further examination at a big hospital was advised. Our mother passed away not long ago, and my brother might have difficulty accepting it. There's no need for further examination, thank you. The doctor nodded and said Ben could go home once he woke up. His teacher also granted him a month's sick leave to rest at home. In the car, Ben kept staring out the window. "Sis, I've been having trouble sleeping. I keep dreaming about venomous snakes chasing me. I should have listened to you and not gone into that jungle." I found it amusing. He didn't regret it when Mom died, but now, tormented by nightmares, he regrets it. I casually comforted him. "You'll be all right. Just rest for a few days." When we arrived home, I told Ben to head up while I grabbed his things from the trunk. As soon as I got to the elevator, I saw Ben standing by the front door, shouting inside, "Dad, what are you doing?" "Ben, what's wrong? Why aren't you going in?" I walked over and peeked inside. On the living room sofa, Dad was disheveled, with a flushed woman in his arms. Before I could react, Ben stormed in, grabbed her hair, and tried to drag her out. My dad stopped Ben, and they started fighting in the living room. The woman tried to slip away during the chaos, but I locked the door on her. Ben was lying on the floor, yelling, "How long has it been since Mom died? And you're bringing someone home. Can you even face her?" My dad shouted back, "Watch your mouth. I'm still your dad. This is my house. I'll bring whomever I want. You think you're any better? You better stop nosing around, or I'll spill everything you've done." Ben immediately quieted down. Having secrets held against you sucks, leaving him unable to fight back. All he could do was glare angrily at Dad. I stepped in, feigning concern. "Dad, Ben, talk things out. Don't fight. Mom just left. If she saw you two like this, how can she rest in peace?" Both froze, as if truly fearing Mom might be watching them. Ben recovered first, accusing Dad, "Exactly. You bringing another woman home won't let Mom find peace." My dad flared up again. "Who's this other woman?" "This is Kate. She's my first love. I'm going to marry her." "Marry her?" Ben lunged at him again. "You dare marry her? I'll go to war with you." Father and son tangled once more, and before I could pull them apart, they both collapsed to the floor. I pretended to be helpless and shouted, "Dad, Ben, what's wrong?" Then I pulled out my phone to call an ambulance. Kate, my dad's first love, slipped away unnoticed when the doctors arrived. At the hospital, when asked about their condition, I just said they fainted due to emotional upset. My dad woke up first, gulping for air. "Laura, I feel suffocated." I glanced at him. "Dad, it's okay. You just got too worked up. Rest up, and you'll be fine." Dad nodded. "Where's Ben?" Got me all riled up. I offered fake comfort. "Dad, don't be angry with Ben. He just needed more time to accept it. He'll understand you eventually." Dad nodded and began recounting his history with Kate. He and Kate were old classmates, but family objections pulled them apart. He claimed he never forgot Kate a single day. Only after Mom's death did he reconnect with her. He wanted to marry her to fulfill a youthful regret. "I'll give Kate a status, a wedding, nothing less. I want her to enter our home properly." Watching my excited father, I still felt sorry for Mom, even though she sacrificed my life. She was married for over 30 years, and I thought it was tragic and pitiful. As for Dad's claim that he only reconnected with Kate after Mom's death, I didn't believe a word. Men are good at acting and lying. Who knows how long they'd been in touch. "Laura, you'll support Dad, right?" I almost laughed out loud. Just then the nurse came to call me, saying that Ben in the next room had also woken up. "Dad, you rest up first. I'll go check on Ben." Ben's condition was a bit more severe than my dad's. His face was already turning a bit blue and purple. Maybe it's because, back in the rainforest, he was at the back and inhaled more miasma. What goes around comes around. It looks like neither of these two jerks will live long. I sat by Ben's bedside, pretending to care. "Ben, how are you feeling?" "Dad's awake already, and when you're better, he might want to discuss something big with you." Ben quickly asked what it was. I pinched myself hard underneath, where he couldn't see, my eyes red from the pain. "Sigh, Ben, don't take it too hard. We can't change Dad's decision. He said he's been thinking about Kate for over 20 years. And now he wants to marry her, have a wedding, give a dowry." I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. I just feel it's unfair to Mom. When she was alive, her husband didn't love her. Now she's gone, and Dad wants to use her insurance money for a new wife. True to form, when Ben heard money was involved, he shot right up in bed. "Damn it, how dare he?" I pushed Ben back down, told him he wasn't well yet, not to get too worked up. "Ben, Mom doted on you the most. That money should have gone to you. I won't compete with you for it. But now Dad wants to give the money to another woman, and I can't say a thing about it. What should we do?" Ben clenched his fists. "Give my money to that woman." He's dreaming. Watching the rage boil in Ben, I knew something interesting was about to unfold. They both got discharged soon after. I spoke with Ben ahead of time, told him I'd go home and cook something nice, and he should chat with Dad properly. There's no grudge a night can't erase between father and son. "You guys have a drink, let it all out." "Drink," Ben mumbled to himself, then agreed with a smile. But his cold eyes gave him away. If nothing goes wrong, Ben will surely make a move on Dad. Anyone who can push their own mother towards snakes will stop at nothing. Back home, I went straight to the kitchen to cook. With the door closed, it was quiet outside. I opened my phone to pull up the surveillance feed. Ben was breaking open capsules, sprinkling the powder into Dad's wine glass. I took a screen grab of the video, saved it to my phone. A long time passed before I carried the dishes out. Dad was already seated, Ben raising his glass to apologize. "Dad, I was wrong before. I shouldn't have snapped at you. I toast to you. Please don't stay mad at your son." Dad snorted, raised his glass, sipped. Ben glanced at Dad, then picked up chopsticks to serve him food. "Dad, eat up. And this wine, it's good stuff I got just for you. You gotta drink it up." Sure enough, Dad took another sip. I excused myself, saying there was more food in the kitchen, ducking back in. I worried Ben might throw me into his plan to ensure no loose ends with the money. Outside, father and son drank glass after glass. When I finally went out, both faces were flushed. "Good kid, I knew you'd understand me." Dad patted Ben's shoulder, but didn't finish his sentence before toppling over. "Dad, what's wrong?" I rushed over, attempting to check his state, but Ben stopped me. "Sis, don't worry about it. He wants to hog my mom's insurance money. Let him die." I grabbed Ben's arm, asked him what the hell was going on. Ben told me he put a drug called cephalosporin in Dad's wine. I feigned utter shock. "How could you? That's your dad." Ben snorted coldly. "He thought of me when giving money to outsiders. He even went up to kick my dad a couple of times. It's my mom's life money. All mine. No one can take it from me." Time ticked by, Ben blocking me from calling the ambulance. Dad went from convulsing to slowly stopping breathing. Did he ever consider his end might also be at the hands of the son he loved most? I'm outwardly grieving, but inside, I feel nothing. He had it coming. This man, selfish his whole life, trading families' lives for wealth, should never have lived. He didn't deserve to make it out of that rainforest. He should have died there. This is his comeuppance. Next, it'll be Ben's turn to face the music. Maybe only when the person's definitely gone, did Ben realize he acted in a moment of anger without a plan for the aftermath. He's never had a clue, hoping I'd bail him out. "Sis, what should I do? I won't go to prison, will I? What should I say if others ask?" I stayed quiet. He needed to think these things over. Knock, knock, knock. "Who's here?" "What about Dad's body?" I patted Ben's hand, told him not to worry. I'd handle it, not let anyone in. I opened the door, stepping aside to let the person in. A bunch of people came for Ben. "Ben, we received a report. You're a suspect in a murder case. Please come with us." It was the police. I called them while hiding in the kitchen. They came right on time. Handcuffed and escorted out, Ben struggled, yelling at me. "Laura, you lied to me. How could you call the police?" "Sis, help me. I'm your brother. I don't want to go to jail." "Save him," I sneered. I tried saving them, but none listened to me. Their path led here by their own choices. When I lay on the ground, wrapped in snakes, how I hoped one would rescue me, but they ran without a backward glance, sacrificing me without hesitation. Why should I save him now? Can someone who turns on their parents really be worth saving? The officer approached me. "You reported it. Please come with us to cooperate in the investigation." At the station, I handed over the surveillance recording. The footage clearly showed Ben spiking the drink. Dad's body was sent for an autopsy. The evidence was undeniable. All that's left for Ben is prison time. After questioning, an officer gave me the report to sign, saying I could leave. I looked up at them calmly. "Officer, there's another issue to report. The father and son took my mom into a restricted rainforest area illegally. Later, mom died there, and they faked the report after escaping. I've got evidence. I found a recording from then in South America. My dad and Ben were in a car bragging about deceiving the police and planning to swindle mom's insurance money. The cops quickly reached out to the precinct in South America that issued the death certificate back then and compared it with their records. They also found those photos Ben sold earlier. They preliminarily determined that my story checked out. Once the insurance company caught wind of the situation, they took Ben to court. With multiple charges stacked, Ben got a 10-year sentence. I returned the insurance money to the company. When the case wrapped up, the police informed me I could take my dad's body. At the crematorium, he was turned to ashes. I poured his ashes into my mom's urn, mixing them together. Wasn't he always reminiscing about his first love? Didn't he regret it his whole life? Well, I made sure even in death he couldn't leave his wife. He had to be bound to someone he didn't love. A man like him didn't deserve to get his way. Back home, I gathered their stuff, all 3 of them, and dumped it in the trash. I wanted to erase every trace of them. They didn't deserve a place in my life anymore. Ben got moved from the holding facility to prison. While inside, he repeatedly asked to see me. I agreed. I needed to settle things with the mastermind behind it all once and for all. Behind the glass, I looked at Ben, his hair shaved, wearing prison clothes. "Laura, do you hate me this much?" In Mom's heart, I was number 1. "Aren't you scared that when she finds out, even as a ghost, she won't let you go?" I laughed. "The first person she'd deal with should be you, my dear brother. You know she doted on you the most. But did you hesitate when you pushed her towards danger?" Ben started breathing heavily. "How did you know?" I looked at his panicked eyes and softly said, "And she won't dare come for me, because in a past life, I was the one who died. Are you crazy, Laura? What are you saying? Weren't you curious about how I knew? Because I've died once already. In the past life, I followed you into the jungle. When we encountered the cobra, you both abandoned me without hesitation, using my life to buy time for your escape. In this life, without me, it was of course Mom that was discarded by you two selfish men. And it was you who pushed Mom forward, wasn't it? Ben remembered the terrifying encounter in the jungle, trembling all over, gulping for air, but it was no use. His face turned a deep shade of purple. The toxins from the poisonous gas damaged lungs, and respiratory failure would be his end. Ben, do you have nightmares? Do snakes visit you in your dreams? Do you often struggle to breathe, panic-stricken? Don't worry. It's just toxic gas poisoning. Don't be scared. Soon, the three of you will be reunited. I forgot to mention, Mom's insurance money is returned to the company. How does it feel to end up with nothing despite scheming? Ben pointed at me, weakly pounding on the glass. He lost consciousness again, and the guards took him to the hospital. This time, the diagnosis was lung failure. The long-term chronic poisoning had left him unable to breathe on his own. He had lost any chance of survival long ago. The doctor explained his condition and asked if I wanted to continue treatment. Without hesitation, I signed the consent to discontinue treatment. He should have died long ago. After they turned off the ventilator, Ben's vital signs slowly disappeared. Once he was gone, as his only family, I chose to donate his body to medical research. His body would become an anatomy specimen at a medical school, a form of atonement for his deeds. I went to the precinct and cancelled his household registration. The staff looked at me sympathetically and urged me to take care. I nodded in thanks and then informed them that I wanted to change my name. From now on, I'm not Laura, I'm Rose. With the household registration book down to just me and a new ID card, I stepped outside and looked at the sun. I smiled. They're all dead, and I begin anew. I sold the house, quit my job, and moved to another city, buying a small apartment. This is my place. Here, I'm not a daughter, not a sister. I don't have to live for anyone else. I only need to live for me. For the rest of my life, I come first.